Hello and good evening to Edukemy's YouTube channel. My name is Harsh Singh and in this video we shall discuss the current affairs and gazette discussion for 10 December 2021. Before we begin, let me welcome all the people who are present here. Sam, good evening. Hello Ashish. Hi Amlan. Good evening. Hi Aditya. Good evening Swajal. Hi Ashton. Good evening Kriti. And all the rest of the people who are watching it offline and who will join in a short while. Welcome to all of you. Let us begin the conversation. So today, the important articles that we have from the Gazette, your daily guide to current affairs, are one, a report of arms trade around the world of the top 100 companies that are involved in arms trade and what is the proportion of India, USA, China, Russia, these countries. We will understand this in this news update. An update on inland waterways. We will understand in totality what is the effect of inland waterways, how has the government tried to boost its presence in the amount of trade it carries inland, right? And the third one is on a report on geological sequestration in India itself. So we will understand in totality what is the potential of sequestration in India that is related to carbon dioxide. A very important update and important ways in which sequestration can happen we will understand in this article. Next, today is International Human Rights Day. International Human Rights Day. So we all can claim human rights, but I wonder if student rights and human rights have some synchrony. Students have duties to fulfill. Rights are fewer. Featured news for today is on modernization of Indian armed forces. We will study in totality what is with respect to Indian armed forces that we are trying to modernize, what are the ways we are trying to do this, and some of the shortcomings, what is the way out, right? This is a part of the feature news for today. An important aspect of India's security. Image of the day is on C. Rajagopalachari, Rajaji, his birthday today. Terms and concepts. The four terms that we discussed today are Konyak Tribe from Nagaland. They are also in Arunachal Pradesh and across the border in the country of Myanmar. So we will understand why they were in news. Genome sequencing of the Omicron variant and a tracker to study the Omicron variant. We will understand what these updates are. And an invasive snail species which has been found in India and other countries around the world, because of which it is going to create some menace for health and issues related to human health. The two editorials that we discussed today are quite related. One is on the elderly care and one is on the significance of the youth in our country. So we will understand both the editorials. So this is about social issues, human impact, right? Especially after COVID times. Today's case study is on domestic violence, an interesting case of bystanders who should not keep quiet when they see domestic violence happening around them, right? So good evening Preeti, good evening Bhabani, good evening all of you. Let us begin this. Before we begin this conversation, I would like you to remember one thing. In every article, you will spot for 4 or 5 important things in every article, and I will help you do that. The first thing that you will spot for is keywords. I would like you to take the maximum that you can from anything that you read for UPSC. First thing is keywords. The second thing is examples or case studies, right? So the keyword is the one which will provide the important input for the answer, the word, the particular word, right? And then we have examples to prove your keyword, right? To prove the analysis that you have with the keyword or case studies for that. The third thing that you will pick up is data points, examples or case studies, keywords, data points, and then you also have cases. Yes, case studies, examples, and the fourth one is analysis. Anything that is different from the usual keyword, any analysis, right, that you will pick up so that you might have that in your memory. So every case, every example that we pick up, every term that we see, you will look at all of them from these perspectives. Otherwise, this conversation, this interaction will not be fruitful. I will help you extract what is important from these articles. So the first snapshot is on a report on the arms trade in 2020. All right. So this report was presented by Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, a think tank, an organization, and it talks about some specific countries from and top 100 companies which are producing arms and India has a meager share of 1.2% of these kind of arms, right? 1.2% of defense manufacturing, right? On the other hand, if you see a country like USA is having humongous 54% sale. And after that lies China, and then comes UK. Russia's percentage in international arms trade has fallen, right? So this is the status. So if you look at this figure, USA is on the top, and then we have China, then UK, and then Russia, USSR, which used to be in the beginning, its proportion has fallen. Israel's proportion has considerably risen, right? So 2% in these arms trade is accounted for Israel, right? Just because it has got very good research and development facilities, right? So this is one thing to note. Another thing to understand here, this is analysis. Now these are some facts, right? So you could note this. Another fact is this analysis is that during COVID times, though the global economy contracted, yet the arms sale increased, right? Traditional arms sales, we are not talking of only hybrid arms and electronic arms sale. We are also talking of traditional arms sale. It has increased during COVID times. That means the countries around the world feel a little more threatened because of the present circumstances, right? So what are the kind of, if you know how to draw a world map, or even if you don't know, you can point out the places where there are issues, right? So Ukraine and Russia, right? Here we have North Korea, here we have China, right? And then we have South America, Venezuela and other places, civil unrest here. Africa going through a turmoil on its own, right? North Africa, a different one, and South Africa, a different one. Europe is going through another issue, right? What is that? Migrant crisis. Then we have issues of intra-Europe as well, Poland and other countries, right? And we also have another migration issue between Poland and the countries to the east, right? And what about South Asia? South Asia is another place. So Afghanistan, Pakistan, India itself, and then we have Sri Lanka. All these countries are in turmoil, right? And that is the reason that they are in more procurement of arms sales. Arms sales have increased around the world, right? So three important institutions which are in these top 100 institutions into arms trade are HAL, right? HAL for aeronautics, BEL electronics, BEL Bharat Electronics Limited, and Indian Ordnance factories, right? And these are the factories which have been further now classified into different segments, right? So a lot of PSUs, around 8 PSUs were created out of Indian factories board, Indian Ordnance Factories Board, so that there may be more efficiency in creation of these armed forces products. Example of this is, suppose if we have gola barud bana rahe hain, if arms and ammunition is being created, if we have shoes, boots being created, or clothing, or tires for vehicles, so electronics. Now all these were earlier created by Indian Ordnance Factories Board, and now there will be a different company which will be creating ammunition. There will be a different company which will be responsible for creation of shoes and clothing. Another company for tires and accessories for vehicles, right? Similarly, electronics, another company. So they will have different responsibilities. The structure will be lesser bureaucratic. It will lead to better efficiency. This is one of the reformations in the defense sector. So these are the 3 companies involved. We have covered this Indian Ordnance Factories news a month back, right? And domestic procurement. See, India is into the process of banning international trade in defense procurements. India wants to indigenize this. That is why India is partnering with many countries like Russia, France, Israel. India wants to own those technologies. And therefore, domestic procurement is what India is looking at. Not only domestic procurement, India is also looking at joint manufacturing in India. So another component of it is that if any other company is gaining profit, suppose Russia is gaining profits of any defense purchases from Russia, right? So Russia will have to invest some point of it, some proportion of it in India again, right? So these are some good steps that India has taken. We will understand more of these steps while we understand the feature news for today, that is on defense manufacturing procurement in India, right? And why is China developing so much? China has developed self-reliance. It has also engaged its military and civil together, right? So if we have good capacity of the electronics engineers or the IT engineers, This is the kind of amalgamation that can lead to military-civil fusion. China has already done it. It has not only gained reliance, it is also exporting. It is also exporting its defense products to countries in Asia, countries in Africa, right? And there is a demand for it, right? So this is the update from the first article. Let me look at some comments. Vijay, good evening, Vijay. Hi, Ashish. Vijay says, where can I get the PDF? Vijay, you can get the PDF on Edukemy's website. Go to edukemy.com. There you will find a section called as resources section, and in resources there will be daily current affairs. If you just log in, put your email address or your telephone number, you will be able to get this PDF, right? Every day, Monday to Friday, we release the PDF around 4:30 p.m. and 6 p.m. we have the video. Ashish says, we also indigenously developed INS Vikrant commission this year. Absolutely, we did. But then if you compare the defense technology that China has and what India has, there is a huge amount of deficit that we have, right? So China's capacity to produce the naval vessels is as much as 5 to 6 times that India has. We are looking at creation of one aircraft carrier or one of these Vikrant, as you named. China creates 6-7 of them per year, right? So China is far advanced there as well. You can relate it to China's economic prominence and predominance also, the one that we studied yesterday through ORF, right? So now what we studied yesterday was China and economy. So you should put that article in economy section or international relations section. But this article should be put in defense, right? Defense sector, right? Okay, snapshot 2 is on inland waterways, all right? So this news update is on utilizing India's waterways. Before we enter this, let me show you the potential of India's waterways. This image itself is sufficient for you to get that data, and this is very important data. See, we are talking of increasing the potential of waterways, but why? See, waterways, the transportation cost is 25 paise per kilometer, and this is 8 times lesser than the road transport. And this is 6 times as less as the railway transport. Why should we not use water transport? We must. So do not remember 2.5 paise or 2.5 rupees. Just try to remember 6 times or 10 times. This is easy for you to prove yourself, right? Prove your point. So water transport becomes very important. But the sad part is that though we have got a huge potential of water capacity, inland water capacity in India, we do not utilize it. There are innumerable rivers in India. They have got some challenges. We will come to that. But navigable waterway could be around 15,000 kilometers in our country. And amongst that, are we using it? No. What are we using? 50% of road transport, right? Cargo transport, all the logistics transport, roads. 35% is railway. Roads compete with railway, right? Railways are more competitive, they are more economical than road, but still railways are not as efficient because the amount of cost that the government railways takes for transportation of cargo, it increases. They try to counterbalance, right? So while the passenger transportation is made economical, it is counterbalanced, right, through increased transportation cost for the cargo, right? So this is railway, and then we have pipeline, coastal shipping. Coastal shipping is the marine shipping, and inland water transport, a meager 0.4%. But look, waterways can be so efficient. They are environmental friendly. They are also energy, less energy intensive. There is a natural channel waterway. Why not utilize it? The whole world is doing it, and India is lagging behind. We are only going behind the traditional ways, right? There were 2 important updates apart from this update that we are trying to increase the navigation. So we are out of the 111 waterways that India has right now, 25 have been found fit for cargo or passenger movement. So India is trying to increase this. But apart from this update, there are 2 more important updates that were regarding cabotage law of India and inland vessels law, right? So you should know about them. We have covered both of them. Cabotage inland vessels law, this new law, it deals with registration of these inland vessels also. They will also have a number plate. This is just an example I am giving. If they are worn out, these smaller vessels, smaller boats in the rivers, They should not be, put at any corner. They should be deregistered. Their owner should be known to the government, so that a proper registry should be kept of all these kind of vessels. So government is trying to formalize the inland vessel transportation also. This is what the law was about. Cabotage law relates to the right of a ship to have it operate in inland waters also when it was an international ship. So one good example is, if it is an Italian ship, if it is an let's take an example of Japanese ship. So while Japanese ship has the right to move around in international waters and transport a good to, say, suppose Cochin, from Cochin to Mumbai, can it travel? No. This is where cabotage law plays its role. If the government says, then it will travel. Otherwise, the domestic ships will travel in the domestic realm, domestic spaces, right? So this is the cabotage law. There was an update. Government changed the cabotage law. This was in news in the beginning of the year. So this is the update here. You should know this data. Very important. The number of times that our water transport is economical. This becomes very important, right? And what are the reasons because of which it is more effective, right? Environmental friendly and economical. And there's also been an increase in the cargo transport these COVID times. But look at the shortcomings. We should also know both the sides, right? So the other side is the problems associated with inland navigation. So some examples are, there are not enough places where we can have these vessels float. So depth is less at places. Why is the depth less? Because flow of water is less. There are some times when there are some places where we have built dams, because of which the water has been diverted and the flow is less, right? This is one issue. We have been utilizing water for various other purposes also, right? Dredging. So now whenever we transport any vehicle, any vessel from one place to another, there is a minimum level of water below that required, right? But when the river is transporting water, river also lets some sediments settle at the place. So the distance, the effective distance from the ground level, until the floating point, it reduces. So we need to remove this complete, sediments. This is what is called as dredging. It is not carried out. Maintenance of waterways is not done very well in India. 5 waterways in India are effectively happening, they are running right now, but this dredging is important here. Terminal facilities, infrastructure is not developed, right? Now, if the vessel wants to operate at night, there should be light at the corners. No, it is not a sea where it can operate anyhow. So those facilities are not there. Terminal facilities. Now, terminal facilities are those places where we will have infrastructure built. There will be, cargo lifting cranes, and there will be automation there. So these facilities are yet to be built, right? And because of all this, it takes high travel time, right? We do not have vertical and horizontal clearances. Horizontal clearances means if a vessel is, say, suppose 8 meters in width, the width of the channel itself will be 9 meters. So do not have proper clearance. Vertical clearance, what does it mean? It means that a bridge is just atop the particular vessel. So these are the kind of issues that the river water faces, river water transport faces right now, right? We have tried to build a couple of portals. One portal is called as PANI portal, stands for Portal for Asset and Navigation Information. These examples, now these are the examples where the government has taken some reform, right? Cargo and cruise movement data also will be recorded in cargo data portal. So these are some initiatives, right? If you see this map, it will talk about the five inland navigable waterways right now. 1, right? And then national waterway 4, 3, and then we have 3, 1, 3, 4, 5, and yes, there is 2. So 2 is the northeast, both are on the northern rivers, and then 3 in the southern flowing rivers, right? So this is an update from here. Good evening, Netra. Good evening to you. All right. The third is an important snapshot from a climate change perspective. Now, let us understand this article quickly. Now, there are various ways in which carbon can be put back into the earth, natural ways or artificial ways, right? So sequestration is one of the processes through which the carbon can be sent back to the earth itself. There are various ways in which it can be put. So terrestrial ecosystems, Trees, they take in carbon dioxide and release oxygen. They also give us food in the process. Then we have another process in the oceans, right? Ocean sequesters carbon dioxide automatically. It also makes the ocean acidic, which is not a good thing, but these are natural processes. Similarly, the sequestration of carbon dioxide, storage of carbon dioxide also happens naturally at rock spaces. The earth, soil also stores carbon dioxide naturally, right? Yet, alongside, we also have processes, artificially designed processes in which carbon dioxide can be taken in from atmosphere or taken in from an industrial process, and it can be pressurized and then it can be stored below the earth. So in geological formations, right, then they can be stored in the oil wells which have already been utilized or are mature, or coal beds, coal seams, right? So all those places which have already been utilized, if they are vacant, empty, they can be pressurized and stored inside that, and they will be sequestered, right? So this is what this update is about. We have got a potential of 400 to 600 gigaton of carbon sequestration in India itself, and you will be very happy to know that the level of carbon production in India per year is hardly comparable to this. It is very less, right? In fact, the level of production is hardly 3 gigatons per annum. So if we try to sequester, if we try to extract all the carbon dioxide produced, it can be done. And there are various ways to do this, right? So see, the natural processes are reforestation, afforestation, agroforestry, land management, right? Natural processes, reforestation, right? Automatically it will happen. But if you want to do it through technological means, you capture the carbon from industries, from those places where the carbon dioxide flows out. Direct air carbon capture. So here the ambient air itself, the carbon dioxide will be captured. So these are the mechanical processes that India can initiate, right? There are other natural processes, for example, the blue water, right? So it will naturally store in carbon dioxide. Trees, terrestrial ecosystems will naturally store, right? So that is the reason that we need a mission carbon capture. See, this is the keyword, mission carbon capture. If you put this here and if you give the example of CCU, carbon capture, utilization and storage, then this is your example and this is your keyword here, right? So it can be put in at various places. For example, the natural gas and mature oil reserves. If they have been extracted, they are not volatile, it can be put there. Uneconomical coal beds which have already been exhausted or it cannot be extracted any further. If there is space, it can take in that, right? Brackish water, brine, saline water, they also can take in. Basaltic formation, they can all take in. There are different ways to make it settle there. So one of the ways is through pressurized carbon dioxide injection. Another way is through mineralization. It is a natural process that will happen. At some places it is adsorption. Absorption on the surface is called as adsorption. All right. So see, this is the kind of significant way in which we can aid climate management. Good example of that, right? But we need an ecosystem for this, right? An ecosystem that works around this. Vijay says India is funding Bangladesh for dredging rivers in their India is funding 80-20 Bangladesh for dredging rivers in their state. What's your thought on that? My thoughts. All right. Thakur Vikram Singh says geological sequestration quantity. All right. Next one here is an update from International Human Rights Day. Now, this is the day we instituted the International Human Rights Day, December 10th, 1948. We started this, and there are various human rights. All of them start from the fact that all humans are born equal and all humans have got certain inalienable rights. Just by the virtue of being human, we all will have those rights. And this is a modern world concept where due to the effect of globalization, all the worlds, they met together and they realized that there's something that all of them share with each other, right? That is inalienable human rights. Earlier, these were not the values, these were not the ethics of society, but this became naturally when all the worlds, they converged and they felt that yes, human rights is something that is very much ethical and we should have it all, right? So all humans are born free and equal in dignity and rights. These are inalienable to all the humans on earth. Feature news for the day is on modernization of Indian armed forces. All right. So we will understand what is the need for defense modernization, how is India trying to do this, what are the various ways, the challenges to defense modernization. We will understand all this in the feature news today itself after this complete discussion. All right. Today's image is on Rajaji C. Rajagopalachari, and he was the last Governor General of India. And before him was Mr. Mountbatten, Lord Mountbatten, right? He was the second last Governor General and the last European Britisher to become the Governor General of India, right? So this is an update from C. Rajagopalachari. All right, important personality, stalwart. The terms that we discussed today are the first one, Konyak Tribe. Now these are the tribes that we are talking of. Why are they in news? They are in news because they were involved in the incident because of which several of them died when there was a skirmish between the armed forces and these particular tribes. They were returning back after their day of labor, and there was an ambush in which the armed forces killed them. Mistaken identity of the rebel groups with the normal persons, right? The persons who would not harm anybody. So these are the Konyak tribes. They are the we should know why are they in news and what is the specificity about this. The tribe also relates very much with the peace in Nagaland. Now Nagaland is fighting for a greater Naga limb, right? Greater Naga limb, just like we have Tripura land and other states. So they want Nagaland, some specific groups in Nagaland want a greater Naga limb, in which Arunachal Pradesh, in which if you see the map, Manipur, Assam, and then some territories of even international territories of Myanmar, they want this all integrated in a greater Naga limb. They want a constitution, they want a national flag for themselves, which is different from the national flag of the country. And one of the groups called as NSCN, National Socialist Council of Nagaland, IN. This is based in Manipur. They have been fighting for this, and allegedly there was some conversation between government of giving these kind of rights or not giving these kind of rights, because of which they would stop violence in Nagaland, right? So this is one of the prominent groups. But another group, right, NNPG, National Naga Political Group, right? So this group is also a significant group. They say we want peace. We want peace. We do not want this separate national flag, and we don't want separate constitution. We just want peace, and we already have decent level of autonomy. So one of these prominent groups of NNPG is Konyak Tribe. See, and this Konyak Tribe is also very decent in population. They are the tribes which have the highest population in Nagaland, and they form a significant NNPG group, significant proportion. Now, in case government has erred against them, they are demanding removal of AFSPA from the state, and their being peaceful becomes very important so that Nagaland lives in peace, right? So the mistaken identity was this, that there are two types of communities. One community, they tattoo their face, and that community is known as Hindu community. And the other community that you see here, they are Thentho community. A little difference in names. And so one of these communities people, since their face was painted, it was mistaken identity probably. And some of the cases say that no, it was not like this. The armed forces simply came out, they fired at the driver and then killed all the other people. They also planted weaponry in their body and changed their clothing. So this was the background, political background. Let's not look at that. Why are these popular? These people are popular because they were the last of the headhunters. So these tribes would keep on fighting with each other. We are talking of 100, 200, 300 years back. They would keep fighting with each other. Territorial dominance, prominence, and as a sign of loyalty, as a sign of their culture, they would behead the person, opposition party, and then they would bring it back to their territory. So that is why they were popular, very aggressive community, and they also used to follow the practice of kingship, right, king system. So this is why they were popular. All right, now do we have some people asking something or saying something? Supriya, I saw a video of human rights on Edukemy channel. All right, how was the video, Supriya? Yes, we ensured that there was a video on the same human rights. What is the theme of international human rights? All right. Theme of international human rights. I'm not aware, but I will find out and I will get back to you. Genome sequencing and Omicron variant. Now, this new Omicron variant which has come up right now, This variant is called as the variant of concern. We have studied about variant of interest, concern, and variant of high consequence, right? So this variant of concern becomes prominent because it has had many mutations in this Omicron variant, and therefore it becomes important to understand how it spreads amongst people. Now, the traditional method of finding out if a person has got COVID or not is not able to tell if the person is affected with Omicron variant or if it is Delta variant. The traditional method is not able to tell us. So, there has been a mutation in the S gene, a particular gene called as S gene in this virus. And because of this mutation, this S gene is not being detected while the investigation happens of if the corona is there inside me or not. When it is not there, this is called as S gene dropout or S gene target failure. This means that the person has Omicron corona. So these are the new kind of tests which are getting carried so that one understands if it is the Omicron variant or not, right? So genome sequencing and Omicron variant, the new kind of test being carried out to understand if S gene is there or not. So this is the update, and we also have created a record to understand what is the spread of this kind of Omicron variant, what is the spread, and to be able to track it completely, right? So this will help people understand the cross reactivity, transmissibility, and pathogenicity of Omicron. That means if people have already gotten the COVID vaccination, how is it still reacting, Omicron still reacting in their body? What is its transmission rate, right? What is the pathogenicity, whether it is increasing or decreasing, right? So this is why a tracker has been developed, right? The next one is on invasive snail species in Kerala. So this snail species in Kerala, this is not Indian. It was originally North American, but now it has been found in all the continents apart from one continent, that is the Antarctica. And why is it important? It is important because it has started to invade various places in the country, right? And this also is the host for various small pathogens. These pathogens are the ones, they are the source for foodborne diseases and various other problems that can be caused to human health. So the presence of this invasive species is not good for the foodborne diseases and human health, right? Why are they also important for India? Is because they have got good amount of resilience to pollution. They can stay here for long, right? Pollution, they can have air breathing capability and rapid growth rate. So that is why they are very popular now, and they are invasive. Their name is called as Physalia acuta. All right. Moving ahead to the two editorials that we have, interesting ones today. So the first editorial for today is on the geriatric population, right? The old age population in our country, right? This is an article, a lengthy one, an essay taken from ORF. I will quickly summarize it to you, and I would want you to take the important elements of this, right? So the important elements of this are elderly deaths. Elderly deaths have not been specifically recorded in many states in our country. We have not recorded the death dependent on what is the age of the person who died. Some of the states have done this, many states have not done this. If we do not do this, we do not understand what is the impact of COVID at specific age bracket, right? So age segregated data is important to understand. Now see, the first wave of COVID that was in the last year, that took away people, many people were old age people. They also had comorbidity. But second wave did take away a decent population or decent percentage of population from the middle age group as well. So these analyses become important, no? Second wave was the Delta variant and the first wave was the traditional variant, right? First wave itself, right? So there are some states which are averse to, COVID treatment. So many states like Kerala and Tamil Nadu, their percentage of people who have the elder age is far high. Kerala and Tamil Nadu. Why? Because they are more developed, and because of this, 60 plus population is 15% in Kerala, Tamil Nadu. In India overall, it is 10%. So this data, do remember this data? 10% of the population in our country is above 60 years of age right now. And this is only going to increase with time. We have known that the total fertility rate, TFR in India has come down to 2 effectively, and because of this the elderly population will only increase with time, right? So now we not only have increased medical facilities, we have also got increased longevity of people, because of which this age will increase, right? So the keyword here, another keyword here is geriatric. Elder age care becomes important for our country, right? Burden of disease is also an elderly, because in COVID times there are less people to assist each other. 70% of the elderly population, it is dependent on other people for their welfare. There is no insurance scheme, right? So they are dependent on other people. So this becomes very important. And the impact is, now this is one analysis here, the impact on female elderly population is exclusive. It is higher. They do not have assets, they have more liabilities, and their survival is also higher than the male population in elderly ages, right? Not only that, if you look at their lifetime, the preceding lifetime, their health may not have been very good, nutrition abilities may not have been very good, and therefore they catch certain kind of lifestyle diseases also, right? Nutritional disease deficiencies, gender-based violence, poor literacy, especially for females, right? So when we look at the elders, see, this is the analysis, males and females. This is where the females also face increased problems, nutritional deficiency, gender-based violence, access to digital tools, vulnerability of the population. I had gone for my COVID second vaccination, and there were elderly people standing in the queue, and they were waiting for themselves to be administered the COVID vaccination. They did not know how to operate the smartphones. So they were there in the queue. I had a smartphone, I had already registered, I also got preference ahead of them. See, so this is how we are excluding the elder population, and not only elder population, specifically the females in the elderly population. The access to digital devices for them is also less. See, so this is the reason, and there are some states which are averse to vaccination doses also. One state is Tamil Nadu, one prominent state is Nagaland, and this is where Har Ghar Dastak campaign, Har Ghar Dastak, go visit every home, ensure that the people are vaccinated. This scheme becomes important. So in this editorial, we studied some facts. What is the percentage of elders population? We understood some examples, some keywords, geriatric care, right? Why the burden of disease is high on elderly in India, and in specific, we understood why females. So that was the analysis part. The example here is Har Ghar Dastak campaign, data gathering for future, health insurance, and intergenerational support. See, all these institutional mechanisms of data gathering, health insurance, they will come later. But what is the first thing to do is to be able to support our elder generation, right? So this is a quick understanding. Now, there are some things that I want to show to you. This is the current age structure, the age pyramid of India. So we see a very wide pyramid at the base. This is the proportion of people who are born and who are young, and the proportion of people who are elderly or at the age of 70, 80, 90, they are very few. But slowly and steadily this will start to decrease. The birth rate will start to decrease, and the center will widen. The center will get widened, and then we will also have later on we'll have a stage where the elder age also becomes more wide than the birth ones. So to be able to explain this clearly, let me show you this. This is Germany itself, one country itself at different times, at 1910, at 2005, and then 2025. Earlier, the population growth was such that there was a high population at young age. Slowly, in around 100 years, there were few births and there were more people in the middle age. See, and then decent amount of people in the elder age also. But in times to come, there will be fewer births and more people towards the age, a high age population. This is one of the reasons. Because of which Germany promotes migration, internal migration inside Germany, while there are other countries, UK, that would not promote migration of people from North Africa or other places to UK. Germany promotes migration because it wants hands at work. Same case is there with Japan also, right? So good example of this is through the median age. Presently, India's median age is 28, right? The 50% people who are less than 28 years, and 50% people who are more than 28 years. China, median age is 37 years. Japan, it is 48 years. Through this example, you should be able to record this example. You should know this particular chart, right? And then this is how you will understand the age structure in the country, right? And the future as well. India will also pass through those stages. All right. Okay, moving ahead, the potential of the young India in driving growth and effective social change, right? So what are we talking of is the younger population right now. India also has a sizable younger population right now. We saw that in the graph, right? So age 10 to 24, there are 2 billion people in the world, and 1/6 of population is India's population. We need to give them more care, multiple kinds of care, health care, education care, skill care. And if we do this right now, it will give rewards to the company, to the home that does this. So 1 year of extra schooling, will lead to 15% of per annum growth in the family, right? See, 16% average yearly return on investment of on one additional year of secondary schooling. So this is so important. Then if a private sector company is investing in training a person, there are 200% of incremental returns for them. So that is the reason that we need to invest in the young generation of our country, right? Not only this, also note one important point about the young generation, that is that this is the second time we are trying to invest in younger people. The first time is while they were small child, 3, 4, 5 years of age. This was the time of brain growth. This is a part of the editorial itself. It says the brain grows at that time. There are various abilities that a person gains, intellectual abilities, and then we have cognitive abilities, various emotional growth. And this is the second time. The age of adolescent is the second time. It's the second opportunity for the country to work on these people who will be the future drivers of the nation, right? So this is the update from here. And now, before going towards the third component, last component for today, that is the case study of the day. Let me see what you people are talking about. So, Ashish says, sir, is this geological sequestration a renewable process? All the biogeochemical cycles, Ashish, they are a cycle. They're a cycle. It keeps on, changing with time. So there will be time when Earth will become more hot, and there will be different things that you will see. There will be proportion of different gases in the atmosphere. There will be time when it cools down, and there will be different proportion of things that you see. It is a process in itself, right? A complete process. Then we have, thank you, Supriya, for finding that beautiful video. All right. Moving ahead to domestic violence. But before that, if you like this initiative, do show some love through likes and comments, right? Your comments, appreciations, they count very well. They count very much for us. And this is how we are going to spread our initiative. Do remember one important thing, that you got to pick up the cases from here. The cases, the examples, they will count. You got to pick up data from everywhere. Data, if you find that. You got to pick up analysis. And the fourth thing that you will pick up is data, case studies, examples, and keywords. The important keywords. You will not get time to remember them in examination or revision. You need all these to pick up, for your exam, right? So this is a beautiful case of people trying to empower themselves and empower the community. So this initiative is called as Dakhal Do by an organization called as Breakthrough. What are they doing? See, domestic violence inside a home is not personal in nature. It becomes a crime against the state, and nobody, not even a bystander, should remain silent on this. They can report it to police, and this will become a crime against the state. If they report it, it will be in the welfare benefit of not only the individual but society as well. This is where the Breakthrough initiative, the Breakthrough NGO, has started the initiative Dakhal Do. How difficult is it for you to remember this word? Not at all. So prepare a case on human rights or women rights in social issues. Write Dakhal Do of Breakthrough, right? Dakhal Do of Breakthrough, and then write down 3 important keywords, 3 important points of this initiative. Some points will be definitely common with respect to everything, right? For example, women empowerment and domestic violence, right? And then you can write a couple of pointers here, and this is your case study. You need not study everything. We need to pick only what is required. So what is required is Dakhal Do, Breakthrough, right? Bystander intervention, right? Empowering female and this is this is not a socially acceptable behavior. This is not a family issue. It is a crime against the state, right? So this is the complete current affairs discussion, along with some components from our beautiful magazine Gazette. And we will quickly move on to the second video, that is the featured video for today, that is on the military advancements in our country, right? So if you like this initiative, to show some love, thank you for watching. We will see you in that video quickly. Thank you for watching. If there are doubts, questions, please place them. Thakur Vikram Singh had asked a question. Vijay had asked a question. Yes, Thakur and Vijay, I will look at these answers and I'll get back. Thank you for watching.